Okay guys, so welcome to tonight's webinar. As you can see there from the front screen tonight, we're talking about grow yourself to grow your business. Sounds like we're all going to be a bit green fingered, I think, from the sound of that. But what we're really talking about, well, this is one of a series of webinars that I run once a week on a Wednesday. There's 8 in total. You can see there we're on to number 6 tonight. The first 2 or 3 are really just about the retail side, getting started, starting to build your customer base. Numbers 4 and 5 are more about the team building side, so how to do the team building and then how to support your team members. And then tonight and the next couple of weeks are really the sort of the intangible skills. Once you've learned how to put a catalogue out and how to send somebody information about the business and so on, what other skills do you need to build a successful business? And we'll be starting on that tonight and going into it in a bit more detail in the next couple of weeks as well. So what's next? As I said there, you know how to put your catalogues out and build a customer base, and also, I haven't updated this, but so many of you now are increasing that customer base with online selling through Facebook and so on as well. And hopefully, if you've been looking at the team building side, you will know how to find and sponsor someone into your team. If you don't yet, and you wanted to go back to have a look over the training webinars on team building, then as I said, they're all recorded, so I'll show you where to find those in a minute. But assuming you know how to do the retail side and you know how to do the team building side, what other skills do you need? And that's what we're going to cover tonight, basically. So what we're covering firstly is the fact that you don't need to reinvent the wheel to be a really successful Kleeneze distributor. The system that is in place now is pretty much the same system that's been in place for the last 20 years. Obviously there's been some fine-tuning to it with things like Facebook, but other than that, it's a very well proven, tried and tested system. There's some essential understanding, some things that's really useful for you to know to help you grow your business. And that's not just about, put catalogues out, pick them back up again, and I'll expand on that in a moment. And I want you to start thinking about your own personal development. You will find if you've got a successful upline, a sponsor who's kind of gold distributor or above, that one of the skills that they will probably find the most valuable, but they will say it was the hardest for them to start thinking on, is personal development. So I'm going to introduce you to that this evening, and specifically I'm going to recommend some reading for you, so hopefully you'll find that useful. So don't reinvent the wheel. At school we're all taught not to copy. If you've got an exam and you're caught kind of copying what the person next to you is writing, you're likely to get kicked out of the exam and all sorts. So we're told you shouldn't copy, you have to kind of invent it all for yourself, do your own work, do your own research. But actually at Kleeneze it's the opposite. Copying a successful distributor is the route to success. But if it's just a case of copying, what is it exactly that you should copy? We talk about there is a system. And what exactly is that system? Well, partly you've been learning it on these webinars. And as I said, Kleeneze has been in its current form for the last 20 years. As well as these webinars, if you've got a local opportunity meeting, I was talking about a fantastic one that Myrna and Peter go to up in Charnock Richard, just north of Manchester there. And at those meetings you will be taught by experienced distributors on their system. And you should be learning from those experienced distributors, especially the ones who are in your particular upline. How often do you put the catalogues out? How do you do the Facebook? All these different things, you need to copy what they're doing. Don't try to invent it yourself. However, having said all of that, although you don't need to reinvent the wheel, adding good new ideas is good. It's always good to challenge the way we do things. Because 6 months ago, hardly anybody was doing any kind of Facebook things, and one of the most common things you'd hear at a training meeting was, don't waste your time on Facebook and chatting to friends and that, because it will drain all your time away when you can be out working money. And now everyone's saying, well, make sure you spend a couple of hours a day on Facebook. But the difference is you're using Facebook as a business tool, not as just a way of chatting to friends. So without those new ideas that Andy Boswell in particular was kind of instrumental in starting up, Without those new ideas, we wouldn't be doing all that now. So it's good to consider new ideas, but don't think you have to all start from scratch. So as I said, find someone who is successful and copy them. Typically that will be your upline, although if your upline is kind of new in the business themselves, their upline or their upline. And if you go to those meetings that I was just mentioning, there will always be successful people at those meetings. And I find 9 times out of 10, if you ask somebody for some help, they're only too happy to help you with it. They love sharing this successful business and the skills that have got them to where they are. They'll share that with anybody who's happy to ask and spend some time with them. So, I talked a little bit about some essential understanding, apart from the basic skills of cataloging and Facebook selling and team building and so on. There are some things that I find really, really useful for people to understand. So one is, Kleeneze is a network marketing business, and it's really useful to understand a bit about the network marketing industry. If you're brand new to this, and a lot of people who come into Kleeneze, you've never heard of network marketing, they didn't join because it was a network marketing business, they joined because they wanted to earn an extra £50 a week. But if you can understand a bit about network marketing, that will really help you as you grow through the business. So there's a couple of books here that I've recommended. One is by Don Failer. It's called The 45-Second Presentation. And it literally is that. It's kind of a really short book. I can't remember, 50 pages or something like that. Big words, lots of pictures. You can really read it at one sitting. And that's just a really great introduction to what network marketing is all about. And then the next one, and this is one of my personal favourites, Jim Rohn. And this is actually a CD, not a book. It's called Building Your Network Marketing Business. And that's just a really, really great CD to listen to. It kind of explains the whole idea of the fact that it's a numbers game, really. You can't just sort of stick up an advert with a particularly fantastic bit of wording out and get a guarantee to get 5 serious people in your team by having 5 people reply to it. You need to understand how the numbers work in network marketing, and Jim Rohn's got a fantastic way of presenting that. So a couple of things there. If you haven't done any reading on network marketing before, or listening rather, then I would certainly recommend you take a look at those. The next thing that's really useful to understand, and sometimes when you first start off you don't kind of really need to know that, you just think put catalogues out, put catalogues back in, that sort of thing. But understanding the Kleeneze pay plan is really helpful because it just really helps you to set targets. And in the next webinar we talk a lot about setting yourself goals. So you should really understand the Kleeneze pay plan, I would say a couple of steps ahead of where you are now. You don't need to understand the entire pay plan because there are, well, I don't know, 30 or 40 or 50 steps up the pay plan that you can achieve, from where we all start right at the beginning, a brand new distributor, up to a grand master, which we don't even have any of yet. Bob Webb is our principal, who is sort of the top earner in the pay plan. But there's certainly at least one step above him. But you don't need to know all the different steps to get there. It's really important to understand a bit about the commission. So I've said 21% now. Obviously, with the new K-Life catalogue, it's between 10 and 20% is the commission. So you need to understand what you're earning from each of your orders, and then you need to understand about how the volume bonuses work. So if you can get just under £800 worth of sales in a 28-day period, you will hit your first volume bonus and get a bonus on top of your commission from your sales. And understanding what you need to do and how team building will help you to get to 13%, 15%, 18% and so on, and then on to gold, senior, bronze executive and so on. So if you don't understand any of that, don't worry, it doesn't stop you from doing your business, but have a chat with your sponsor and just say you'd like to know what the next couple of steps are in the Kleeneze pay plan, so you know what you're aiming for. And as I said, I mentioned a little bit earlier, understanding that building your business really is a numbers game. There aren't any shortcuts to being a successful distributor. And in the simplest way of doing it, more catalogues equals more customers equals more income. And if you're a team builder, more leads will result in more team members, which will give you a bigger income as well. That Jim Rohn CD that I mentioned there really explains that in a really wonderful way. And he's got such an easy to listen to voice, So I certainly recommend that. Okay, a couple of little phrases that I'll sort of give you just on your way through this webinar today, which hopefully will kind of help to inspire you a little bit. I heard this at a training course I went on a couple of years ago now, and I keep thinking about this whenever I feel that my business is kind of slowing a little bit or not going as quickly as I'd like it to. If you only do what you know you should do, you can achieve anything. And what that really means is actually, once you've learned how to put catalogues out, and once you've learned how to introduce somebody to the business, and you're told, put as many catalogues out as you can, 250 a couple of times a week, and generate 30 leads a week or whatever it is your sponsor is recommending. If you know what you should do and you only do it, then you can be very, very successful in this business. So mostly you will find the reasons that you're not successful is that you're not doing what you know you should be doing. And another one there, which you guys are already kind of doing this, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Jim Rohn was a great advocate for personal development and training and education. And if you work sort of 9 to 5 on your job and you're really exhausted and you come home and then you just plunk yourself in front of the telly and have something to eat and go to bed, and then the next morning you get up and do the same all over again, you're never progressing. It's really, really important to spend some time in your 24 hours. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. Spend some of that time working on yourself. And you guys actually are kind of preaching to the converted because you're already doing that this evening. And become a sponge for information. Don't just use these webinars and books and CDs and things as entertainment and a nice listen. Actually absorb them. Study the books. Study the webinars. Think about how can I change what I'm doing now based on what I now know. Don't just kind of take it all in and think, oh, well, that was nice, I wonder when the next one is. And plug into personal development. I've said there, a lot of people who've been in the business, I would say pretty much most gold distributors and above, will say the most valuable skill set that they learn as a Kleeneze distributor is the personal development skills. And anybody can do that. All it needs is you to be willing to do some reading, a little bit of watching and listening maybe, and the webinar number 8, which is not next week, the week after, talks a lot more about the sorts of things, some recommendations. I'm going to make some recommendations this evening, but I'm going to go into it in a lot more detail in a couple of weeks. So hopefully you'll find lots of good recommendations as a result of this. And then the last one that I would recommend, and I do feel that a lot of people don't do this as much as they should do, but again, I'm kind of preaching to the converted because you guys are all here. But plug into all of the meetings. Go to as many meetings as you can. Your local opportunity meetings, the millionaires, the G4G, I know that what's the one in Nottingham, the Golden Bears have Laura and Andrew Buxton have a great meeting there a couple of times a year as well. There's all sorts of different meetings you can go to, and it's really, really important to go to them. You can go to one of these meetings and come out of it and think, I'm not sure that I learned anything new there. Maybe I was reminded about some things that I should be doing. But you never know when you're going to find your next golden nugget. And sometimes it's just as simple as somebody saying something that you already knew, but they just say it in a slightly different way, or in a way that just suddenly clicks with you. And you think, oh, you know what, I've kind of been aware of that, but the way that they've just highlighted it now, I suddenly realised what I've been doing all this time, that I could change this around. And it's kind of inspiring as well as hopefully changing your actions so that you do something a bit better than you've been doing before. So going to those meetings are all really, really important. Now, there's a big list here. I'm not going to go through them all in detail. This is a list of, we've said, essential reading, important reading. I've highlighted in blue there a few books that I'm just going to go through a little bit more detail in a moment. These are my particular favourites out of them all, but there's lots of really, really great books. Have a little look down that list, and if you sort of see any that attract your attention or whatever, then make a note of it. If you're not sure where to start, I would say either firstly speak to your upline, your sponsor, or the ones in blue that I'm just going to go through in a minute, just go and have a look at those. You can get them all either on Amazon, or if you go to one of the meetings, either the Bids web shop or Knowledge is King, are often at our local meetings, and you'll be able to find many of them there. So I'm just going to go through some of those then. The first one that I recommend, and this is, as I say, my first and favourite, which is Jim Rohn, Building Your Network Marketing Business. And it's kind of philosophies on network marketing. Jim Rohn talks a lot about his philosophies of life. And when I first heard him talking about that, if somebody said to me, "What are your philosophies?" I wouldn't have a clue what they were talking about. My philosophies were try to get through the end of the day without being sacked or something. But when he starts talking about his philosophies, and you start to realise what he means and how it affects the rest of your life and your success in your business, you start to realise what he means. And again, I'm talking a lot more about that in the next couple of webinars, so I won't dwell on that any further, but that's definitely a good one to start off with. And if you like Jim Rohn, but you're more of a reader than a listener, then this is a great book that I really like. It's called 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness. And it's just, he introduces you to goal setting, to investment, and that's not kind of stocks and shares. It's kind of just thinking about how you use your money that you earn. And as I said, there's some life philosophies which I think you'll find really, really useful. Okay, a couple of other books. Those of you who have been in Kleeneze for more than 4 or 5 years or so, hopefully you'll recognise these two chaps because they've both spoken at Kleeneze conferences. Darren Hardy, who wrote The Compound Effect, he's one of my favourite speakers at the moment as well. He spoke at one of the Birmingham conferences a few years ago, and Jeff Olson was the guest speaker at the New York conference. So both really good speakers as well. And their books, these two books, they're both separate books, but they actually kind of have the same kind of idea behind them. And that idea is that it's not the big decisions, it's the little ones you make every day which determine whether you're successful or failure. I think as an example, they talk about, if you were trying to lose some weight, and let's suppose you start, if you can imagine this is a graph at the bottom here, and the weight loss, the graph, the line shows what your weight, whether it's gone up or down or whatever. So I think these are the wrong way around, but you'll get the gist of it. So, if you were trying to lose weight, you could say, right, today I'm going to go out and I'm going to run a marathon, and I'm not going to eat anything for a fortnight and see if that does it. Which, to be honest, is all that's going to happen is you'll end up fainting and doing yourself a lot of injury. But actually, if every day you decide, instead of eating the chocolate bar or whatever that you used to eat at snack time, you eat an apple instead, then those little decisions made every day over a period of time will result in either massive success or mediocrity. And it's the same with whatever part of your life you're looking to improve. And that's what these books are all about. And it's a great way to make you think about improving your life, because sometimes it's really easy to sort of think, oh, crikey, you know what, I'd love to make a big change in my life. I'm not happy with where I am. I want to be able to buy a nice car or whatever. And you're looking for some massive kind of opportunity or a lottery winning ticket or some huge change to allow you to do that. When actually, all you really need is something really, really small, like read 10 pages of a good book every night. And the skills that you learn and the actions that you start to put into place as a result of that, a year down the line, you'll be buying yourself that new car or putting that deposit down on the new house because of those little disciplines that you implemented day by day. So those are 2 books on that subject. Really recommend those 2. They're excellent books. The third one here, this is a one, I really like this one. A lot of people find it quite hard to read, but just because it's kind of got lots of pages and smaller writing, I suppose. And it's quite an old book. It was written in the 1930s by a chap called Dale Carnegie, and it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And very briefly, what the gist of it is saying is, be nice to people. It's amazing what you get in return. So the story behind it all was that Dale, I think, was studying all of these people who were trying to make sales. And this was in the era of big American industry, so they would be going to car manufacturers and steel plants and so on. And people would be trying to make sales of whatever it was, sort of printing paper or whatever they were selling at that time. And he realized that the ones that were doing really, really well in sales weren't the ones that had the best price or the sharpest suits or anything. It was the ones that took an interest in the person they were speaking to and tried to help them. And suddenly they would find that they suddenly got on really well with them, and that they found that orders were becoming really, really easily to them. So it's a really, really great book. I find it's really good. Lots and lots of examples that make you sort of just, it changes your attitude to how you go about your life. And it's not just about sales and being a Kleeneze distributor. It will actually kind of, as it says there, kind of it will influence your whole life, I find. Okay, another one here. This is a completely different kind of book. This is a Darren Hardy book. It's called Design Your Best Year Ever. And I find this works really, really well. If you're the sorts of person that likes a bit of structure in your life, so if you keep a diary or you've got your time sort of written out, or even if you don't, but you would like to and you'd like a bit of help. Because what Darren does in this book, and it's more like a workbook than a kind of a book that you just read, you basically sit down at the start of the year and you write out a set of big goals that you want to achieve over the next 12 months. And it doesn't have to be January the 1st that you do this, it can be any 12 months. So you could start tomorrow, 22nd of January. What do you want to achieve by the 21st of January next year? So it doesn't really matter when. It's not like a diary with particular dates. And you take those big goals and you break them down into, if you like, monthly milestones, and then weekly chunks, and then daily steps. And by doing that in a kind of guided and structured way, it just makes it a lot easier to monitor and achieve all lots of goals just by having these lots of daily steps. And he talks about doing things in all parts of your life as well. So it's important not just to set yourself goals for your business or for your finances, but also for your health and for your family relationships and all sorts of things. So I do like that about Darren Hardy. It's not just like a businessman. He actually says how important it is to have balance in your life. If you've got a really great relationship with your partner and your children, how much easier is it for you then to work really, really hard on your business and to be successful there as well. Okay, and then I think this is the last one. Yep, the last book, and this is a recent one that I've added, and another really, really good book. As you can tell, I keep saying all these books are really, really great, and they are just all my favourites. So this book is called The Chimp Paradox. And it's by a chap called Dr. Steve Peters. And I came across Steve Peters because I'm a keen cyclist, so I was always watching how well the cyclists were doing in the Olympic Games on the track, and I saw people like Bradley Wiggins and Chris Froome on the road bike and so on. And every now and again you'd come across somebody saying, oh, well, it really, really helped me when I managed to get a chance to chat to Steve Peters. And basically what he did with a lot of these people is just help them get over their, I suppose you'd call them, inner demons. It was understanding how your brain works and how other people's brain works, and how and why you get frustrated and angry and emotional. And most people, actually, when they've calmed down a bit, they don't really like having those emotions, those feelings, and they don't really help them in any aspect of their life. So how can you deal with that if you do get upset or angry or emotional? And not just how can you stop yourself doing it, but if you see other people getting like that, it helps you to understand why they may be feeling like that. So you don't just end up in a big argument where you're angry and they're upset and you're upset. And so I find this really, really helpful, just especially when you're starting to think about other people. So specifically for me, for example, I do a lot of team building and I'll ring people up and I'm trying to talk to them. And sometimes you sort of feel, oh, crikey, he's a bit rude, or they're very short with you and you don't have much of a conversation. And I used to get really kind of cross with other people, saying, well, could at least give me a minute to explain a bit about what I'm trying to talk to him about. But this kind of just helps you realise that you don't know what's going on in everybody else's life, and people are having all sorts of situations to deal with, and it just stops you, or it certainly stops me, from feeling frustrated in that, and just allowing me to move on and continue to make lots and lots of phone calls, which is what I was hoping to achieve by reading that. So another good book there, certainly recommend that. Okay, so where are we? Getting towards the end now. So a couple of quick questions just to check if any of you have been awake while I've been talking this, or whether you've all gone off with your glasses of wine and gone to the pub and just let me here chatting on my own. Can you remember what Jim Rohn said at the beginning, work harder on yourself than you do on your, anyone remember? Punnett, Reckon's job? Alfred's job? Peter and Myrna, their job? Yep, that's a pretty good clue there. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Yep, Dave, business, that's a kind of a broader way of doing it. Yeah, absolutely right. Just kind of the importance of educating yourself and not just, it's very easy in this business to throw yourself, hours and hours and hours into cataloguing and putting Facebook adverts up and doing things like that. If you don't take a bit of time to take time for yourself and to educate yourself as well, it can be quite frustrating. Okay, quick question then. For those of you who have read any of those books that I was recommending earlier, is there anybody who would like to share with us what their favourite might be? Or if you haven't read any of them, were there any of them there that appeals to you, that you think, oh yes, that's one I think I'll go and look out for? Yep, Slant Edge, Moon and Peter. Yep, Jim Rohn stuff. Yeah, Dave Towell there. Chimp Paradox, that's a good one. Oh, good. I'm really pleased actually. There's a variety there, because sometimes if you sort of ask people a question, everyone goes for the same one. You're sort of thinking, oh well, I wonder. No one's interested in any of the others. So that's great. That's great. I'm glad, guys. Hopefully you'll find something useful. And don't just say that now. Make an effort when we're finished in a couple of minutes. Go and find out where you're going to get those books from. Ooh, what's Sue reading? The Power by Rhonda Byrne, Law of Attraction. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So there's a recommendation from Sue if anyone's interested in reading up on the Law of Attraction. That looks like a good one. Okay, what else have we covered this evening? So I talked about following our system, the fact that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. That really makes Kleeneze a very simple business, because you don't have to come in and be great at anything in particular. You can just learn what you need to do. I talked a bit about the essential understanding there, so making sure you understand a bit about the price plan, a bit about network marketing will just help you kind of broaden your knowledge, especially at the beginning, when sometimes you just get a bit bogged down in getting your catalogues in and out and doing your Facebook and delivering your orders and so on. Spending a bit of time understanding the bigger picture will really help you. And as I said, there's some recommended reading, and I can see a lot of you guys are already looking into that, which is excellent. Okay, so this is now the end of this evening's webinar. Next week I'm going specifically into a couple of aspects of personal development, which is goals and attitude. Hopefully you'll be able to join us then. I think it's next week. I'm pretty sure I do on most Wednesdays, but occasionally if I've got an opportunity meeting that I'm going to, or some other commitment, then I skip a week. Normally kind of 9 or 10 weeks to do the whole lot. And I mentioned earlier that these are all recorded. So if there was anything on tonight's one that you kind of missed, or you felt you just wanted to go back through again, or any of those other 7 webinars that you think actually that would be really useful, so I wanted to start looking at the team building one, or if you want to get really into the personal development and watch number 7 and 8, then you can watch those. You don't have to wait for the next couple of weeks. You can go and watch those as well. So if you just pop into YouTube, you'll see them. You can either go directly to that Chris Smith Kleeneze, or if you just go into YouTube and do a search on Chris Smith Kleeneze, I'm sure you'll find me there, and they're all in there. And please feel free to subscribe to that channel, and that way every time I put one of these webinars up, you'll get a little notification so you know it's there. Okay guys, I'm just going to turn off the training now.